What about then after the first email? Because I think a lot of people
Yeah.
can sort of get, and you talked about it actually, this sort of paralysis by analysis. They're kind of thinking to themselves,
Yes.
right, okay, well, I've got, say, a block of 4 emails. What the hell do I put in the rest of them if they don't get back off the first one, which is probably unlikely, really. The majority aren't going to sort of respond back
Yes.
off after the first email to them. So how do you sort of mix that up then in terms of the content into the future emails?
Yeah, and this is the part that everyone struggles with. And I think it's we all tend to overthink it, and then what ends up happening is we write back this email that says, "I'm just checking in. Did you see my email?" Or "I'm just circling back. I want to bump this up in your inbox." And oh, I hate that. One thing I will say is that I preach that you should reply in thread throughout the entire cadence. And the reason I preach that is because if you are taking time to really personalize that first message, the rest of your email follow ups should kind of unfold more of the story and the value add and give people the ability to, okay, I got your second message because I had a little bit of time this morning. And now I can scroll down and see what was that first message you wrote me. Keep it all kind of together. But I like to take a subject matter expert approach when I'm doing follow ups, and I like to take a value add approach. And so, what I mean by that, and I'll give you one follow up that I would use as like a framework. Um, this is the part that's hard as a marketer. I don't like to use company content when I'm doing cold outreach necessarily, especially in like a second follow up, maybe as a PS and a third or fourth touch, but definitely not like immediately using it as a preface. And the reason I don't do that is because if you send an article from an industry publication that is already reputable, that they already have a level of trust in as a practitioner, you're going to meet them on neutral territory versus sending them that ebook that your company wrote, because who the heck cares? I mean, quite frankly, unless they are raising their hand again. So the way that I'll structure a follow up is I don't even reference the first email. It's a reply. They'll be able to see that, right? So I'll say something like, "Hey, Matt, do you happen to follow, Undercover Recruiter? Question mark. They just put out this article about tech trends in recruiting. Thought I'd share it with you. Hyperlink to that article in case it's an interesting read for you to add to your list. By the way, any thoughts on my previous email? Question mark, right? So you're basically giving them something, but then circling back to, hey, I still want to chat with you, but I want to give you something and I don't want to be pushy about it. So I like using those value added follow ups as a way to kind of, bump things back up in the inbox.
I like the idea of the neutral ground, actually. I've not really thought of that. I mean, I think a lot of marketeers think the second email, God, we're going to have to create an ebook. Then for the third email, we're going to have to create this massive white paper to send them something, So they sort of get bogged down in that. And actually, you mentioned something in that response which sort of piqued my interest, the PS.
Yes.
How powerful is the PS? I mean, I've heard the PS is powerful.
PS is powerful for many reasons. So what I think of with a PS is you may want to put some sort of personalization into a PS, or maybe you do want to share that, there was a webinar recording that you thought would be really relevant to them, right? Why I like those is because naturally the way that the white space and the text breaks up in an email, people will gravitate to seeing what the PS says, which is really powerful. But it's a great way to put additional information in an email without detracting from the main focus of your message. So you can still have your main focus of your message, but now you're not clouding it up with, something that maybe isn't as relevant to that, but that you'd like to call out. So I think they can be really powerful in breaking up the space and also just not detracting from the main message.
Yeah, I love a PS in my email outreach, so it definitely works.